Live. We are live. This is Beer Guys Radio. We're here, y'all. Happy New Year to everybody. 2023.
Indeed.
I was talking to some friends at work the other day at the day job and mentioned I remember when 2000 seemed futuristic, like the year 2001. Because, I mean, we've already had both of the space odysseys, right?
Yeah.
What was it, 2001 and was it 02?
I don't
2020?
I don't know.
But whatever it was. Where were you on Y2K? Do you recall?
Yeah, I was in Ackworth.
You were in Ackworth. Okay.
For Georgia, yeah.
Yeah. Brian, where were you Y2K?
I was downtown Portland, Oregon when they have downtown celebration. So I was there for that.
All right.
Yeah.
That's when I was on the interstate at exactly Y2K traveling to Mississippi and ended up at the casinos in Vicksburg, Mississippi. And, that's when the clock struck midnight, like I think the first time zone, I forget what it was, but they're like, yeah, this is when, computers set this and that. I remember looking in the sky for the planes to fall out and everything, because that's what they told us would happen, that everything was going to mess up.
I was my first
clicking a pen.
You probably should. My first job out of college was a Y2K project. And based on that, I'm like, nothing's falling out of the sky. Like it's reports are going to be formatted poorly. Sorting orders will be off, so your spreadsheets won't be quite right, and billing won't get sent at the right time. But like in terms of things just exploding or falling out of the sky, I'm like, no
drama. Brian, I wanted to clarify. I just got a text message from our friend Seth, and he wanted to clarify that it is not a burrito. It is a Frito chili pie with a hot dog. Frito chili pie burrito with a hot dog in it at Buc-ee's. That you missed.
I did not get that when I was there. I am drinking out of a Buc-ee's
cup. We have Buc-ee's cookies here with the Bucky Beaver face on them. We do not have beaver nuggets, and Brian did not get the chili Frito pie burrito dog.
I got pork rinds. I got Buc-ee's pork rinds, dill pork rinds.
Okay,
I like those. I got jalapeno salt was something they were selling there.
Interesting.
And I put it on some hard-boiled eggs today, and it was pretty good.
All right,
like that. So
all right.
I got a lot of stuff.
It was an eventful trip, right?
It's a big place. There's a lot of stuff to buy, and yes, they have a lot of things all over the place repeatedly, but it's huge. It's huge. There's a ton of things. So
it's kind of nuts there. Well, Brian, we're in January. This is going to be our dry January show. Dry January. And Brian, you have actually made a personal commitment to stay dry in January. So,
no, I've not.
I thought that's why you wanted to do this dry January show, was talk about what you were going to do through the month.
No.
I misunderstood.
No. This was actually Tim's idea. Tim, I believe
I could do it
if he was going to do that.
Sure.
Me, no. I will be doing my NA Sundays, my non-alcoholic Sundays, but that's about as far as I'm going.
And we'll get into that, Brian, where you're being a little damp, and well talk about dampness a little later. So
I'm so moist over here.
Yes. Yeah. But Steve and Pete, cheers, sir. Good to see you as always. Let's see. Y2K stories. Bell South, right? COBOL.
Yeah. And my project out of school, there was some COBOL involved.
I remember when I was first hiring some software developers as a recruiter, that COBOL and Fortran were two of the languages that they were legacy, at the time. And so the people that knew them got paid really good money to go in and do work on those languages, because they just weren't being used anymore.
They must have to pay Fortran people a fortune these days, because I've been on a lot of projects that had legacy stuff in it. All of it has been COBOL. I've never come across any Fortran. I would think that there's not many people left that actually know how to write it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, COBOL a little bit, but I've known some people. I probably still know some people. I don't know if I know anybody's ever done Fortran. So.
Here's one that's just telecom nerd to telecom nerd. Steven, we just got a project to do a big 5E tear out nationwide. So that'll mean something to Steven. The rest of you can decode.
Oh, didn't I hear that somebody, speaking of telecom, they were decommissioning 3G? Is it?
You know what? It's funny you say that, because that's all the 5E and the 3G is part of what we're doing for.
They're decommissioning. One of the companies is doing it, and they're like the first one to do it. I heard it on the news or something like that. It's the first telecom company to decommission their 3 3G. I don't know that stuff. I vaguely remember using it on phones, and I guess it's not really used anymore.
When that started becoming important, because when it first came out, it's just either you had a signal or not. No one cared. I think until we went to 3G, no one cared. It's just, do I have a phone signal or do I not? But then they started saying 3G, EVDO, all these things that people had no idea, but the marketing was convincing enough that people thought that's what I need.
I just knew that if my phone said Edge on it, it meant it's supposed to be impressive, but it's slow. But if it said 3G, it was actually fast.
That's
faster.
Like right now, there's phones that you'll have a thing that lights up 5G, but it'll have a little E next to it. And that's 5G evolution. And it's not really 5G. It's like, hey, we're getting there.
So close.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is nearly 5G.
There you go. More nerd. Fortran was more scientific and COBOL more business.
That makes sense, because everything I was involved in was very much business and not terribly scientific. So
yeah, good stuff. Well, y'all, I tell you what, we're going to get into it. Dry January. So we're going to talk about kind of the history of Dry January, some stories we found to go along with it, and of course some suggestions of beers, spirits, other things to drink for your Dry January. If you have a favorite, a comment, or a question, drop it in the chat. We'd appreciate it. Cool. Let's rock and roll, Nate.
Open up a tab, grab a seat, and pour a pint. It's time for the Beer Guys Radio Show.
You want free beer? Go to the brewery.
Dedicated to the art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer.
Yo, what's wrong with the beer we got?
Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Brian Hewitt.
Welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We are broadcasting from the Beer Guys Radio Studios. We're here in Marietta, Georgia, Brian.
We are.
Beautiful Atlanta metro area. And to ring in the new year, we're going to be talking Dry January. It's going to be fun. I'm Tim Dennis. With me, as always, my good friend, co-host, and dry drinker, Brian Hewitt.
I'm the driest drinker ever.
Yes.
So, yes, that's right. A January free of moisture, or maybe just a little moisture, because that's an option too. And, of course, we'll talk about some good beverage options for those observing Dry January, and maybe a little bit more about how non-alcoholic beer is made. Everything's on the table except alcohol.
That's true. That's factual tonight, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Here in our studio on the table, we do not have. Actually, there is some hand sanitizer.
And
on the table.
Don't look too closely at my coffee.
Oh, that's right. Little drambuie in the coffee. All right, we're nearly dry. We're just mildly moist.
Well, it's in a mug. Now. It's not actually on the table, so technically accurate. New year 2023. Yes.
Just sounds crazy that we're all the way up in here in 2023. Brian, New Year resolutions. Are you one that makes New Year's resolutions?
I typically am not. I usually don't care about it. I have ideas, much like what we've talked about with Christmas gifts. I usually buy things that I want when it occurs to me. If I have an idea of a thing I need to change in my life, I just do it.
I don't,
right. Yeah. I don't pick a day and time to do it.
Okay.
However, that said, because I keep looking at my my stash of beer, my cellar, it's gotten out of control. I think I'm resolving to drink at least one large format bottle out of my cellar every week.
Your resolution is not keeping with the spirit of our show topic tonight.
But I also resolve to continue at least throughout January doing the non-alcoholic Sundays,
NA
Sundays,
NA Sunday,
which has been great because I realized coming into the show, it has prepared me to do the show because I've been finding random different non-alcoholic beers and drinking them every Sunday. So that's I'm going to continue doing that.
Okay, it's a good way to explore, and the options that are out there, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah, and I've like the one we're drinking right now, the Sam Adams Just the Haze. I knew it. I had it before. I had opinions on it already. I'm like, I'm so ready for this show. I didn't even realize I was preparing.
I was really just hoping that like a cloud would pour out into the glass.
Yeah,
it's just the haze, but there is liquid in
dust.
There is liquid in there too. So no, I wanted the vapors. I wanted the can full of vapor.
You just wanted to vape off the can?
Vape in the can, absolutely.
Well, how about you?
You know what? I'm kind of like you, Brian. I think I try and catch myself on a technicality. I do always spend the end of the year reflecting on the year. What did I accomplish? What did I not accomplish? What do I need to do? And really, what did I have planned for that year, and how did it go getting there? I don't like set any hard and fast New Year's resolutions, because I've done that in the past, and it's, you know what, it puts too much pressure on me, man. It puts too much pressure on me when I make it a New Year's resolution. I feel like you have to do it, and if it doesn't, then I feel like I failed. But it's just like, hey, you know what, I need to do this. Not as much pressure. It's more, low pressure there. I need to get in better health. I'm getting older. I'm a little thick, Brian, as you may have noticed. So, wouldn't hurt to drop a few pounds and get a little more physically active there. So that is a resolution.
There you go.
A New Year's resolution.
Resolving. I think that people make ridiculously difficult, challenging resolutions, and you're setting yourself up for failure and unhappiness. So that's why I picked something like, I need to whittle down the cellar. I need to get through some of these bottles, and one a week, easy enough. I want to drink them anyway. It's just a matter of forcing myself to do so.
Brian, the thing, like you said, a New Year's resolution, if you're setting a resolution for a whole year, that's a lot to accomplish.
Yes.
And just, it's a good business practice. It's what I tell people when I'm guiding new recruiters in the recruiting world. Yes, set your goal, set the finish line. Where do I want to be at the end of the year? But you've got to pull that back into more manageable chunks. And I mean, you can even get as far as saying, this is what I need to do today. If this is what I want to accomplish throughout this year, this is what today needs to look like.
Yeah, makes sense.
And you know what? When you get through that day, Mike Nate, when you get through that day and you accomplish that one thing, the body gives you those, what's it called, endorphins or something?
Yes, the dolphins. Yes,
what's
the Miami Dolphins?
The drug that
endorphins, I believe.
And what's the other?
Serotonin,
like
endorphins.
But your body gives you a reward for that. You feel good about yourself, and it helps you make it. And you know what, folks? If you have a day that you fall down on one of those things, that's fine.
And if it doesn't give you the endorphins or the serotonin, eat yourself a chocolate chip cookie. That always works for me.
That's it. Chocolate.
Yeah. Non-alcoholic too. Very dry.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to, we've had a rough few years here as humans. So looking forward to see 2023. I got big hopes for you. Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah. Brian. So, Brian, I think it's time for the beers of the week.
I think it is. Am I doing that?
You do it. Let's change it up, man.
I'm not used to this, but I want to thank the Nest for sponsoring this segment.
Awesome.
Great wings, great barbecue. Got to go out there, Kennesaw, Georgia. The
beer
Nest.
Dinner coming up, Brian.
Beer dinner coming up. Yeah. Chefs
versus brewers.
Chefs versus brewers. The pairings are fantastic. Somebody gets a trophy at the end of the night. The real winner is the people eating. So Absolutely. It's going to be fantastic. The beers we've got Sam Adams, Just the Haze, which we're drinking right now. It is liquid, in fact, as we've discussed. Guinness Zero, non-alcoholic. Bravas Peanut Butter Dark, and Untitled Arts Chocolate Milk Dark. So a bunch of darks.
Yeah.
And the dark, of course, is what you have to do in the non-alcoholic world to designate that it's a stout, because you can't say stout for some reason. So
got to be tricky with it. And Brian, we've explored NA spirits.
Yes.
And I will say we have not found one we really care. There's definitely better quality overall in NA beer than NA spirits, in my opinion.
More options, more quality, for sure. Yes.
However, I will say that most NA spirit makers do tell you they're not really meant to be consumed direct. They are mixers.
They're not sippers.
They're mixers. But I will give a spoiler. I won't tell what it is right now, but I think we found one we both liked.
Correct. Yes.
So we'll get into. So we do actually have an option if you need to make up an NA cocktail. We'll talk a little bit about NA spirits as well.
Indeed.
Good stuff, Brian. And I think you actually have some news to go along with our.
We should switch it up.
Thematic episode. I didn't take no. I'll just wing it. I'll just make stuff up there.
No, I do. In fact, very relevant to Dry January, according to VinePair and an organization called Civic Science, interest in Dry January is actually down in 2023, in large part because of millennials.
Okay. All right.
In 2022, the people in the millennial age bracket showed the highest interest in Dry January, but that interest has waned significantly this year. Only 44% of those surveyed said they were likely to participate. This year, though, Generation Z or Gen Z group is leading the way, with 55% of those surveyed saying they were at least somewhat likely to participate. People 55 and older are slightly more likely to go dry this January, like 41% versus like 39 last year. And the age group that's least likely to participate is also the one that is most likely to not be mentioned in any articles. Generation X, only 38% are going to do dry January.
Okay.
And I'm part of Generation X, and I'm not doing dry January.
That's it. Well, it's funny you say that because I saw an article the other day that was saying how Generation X was kind of just ignored in all this. Millennials, kind of. Gen Z, and boomers. Those are the ones they like to talk about.
And I think that if they have something bad to say about you and they're like, you're being too old, they just say, okay, boomer. I'm like, I'm not a boomer.
I'm not a boomer.
Not a boomer. We're a completely different species.
They're like, nah, to me, you're a boomer.
Yeah. Yeah. So the minute the millennials came around, everybody forgot about everybody else. So in other awesome, timely news, Martha Stewart is part of a dry January campaign for Tito's Vodka, and it's pretty funny. It's pretty awesome. They're calling it DIY January, and the video features tips on other ways you can use vodka instead of drinking it. For example, spraying some vodka in your boots to remove odor, or tenderizing meat by pounding it with a 1.75 liter bottle full of vodka. So just the pounding.
Yes.
And even watering your plants with it. I need to point out that you probably should not water your plants with vodka. And of course, it's a joke, but you can buy the Tito's DIY January kit from their website, which includes various cleaning and cooking attachments for the bottles of Tito's vodka. So you can spray bottle top and mister top, and I think there's I forget what the other ones. At least 3 different ones, like $10. So
yeah,
feels like an April Fool's gag to me, but it's a little too early for that.
You know what? Props to Tito's, man, for you to be an alcohol brand and to capitalize on dry January.
Yes,
brilliant move. Brilliant
Absolutely.
move for Tito's there. So can't argue with that at all. You're listening to the Non-Alcoholic Beer Guys radio show. We need to take a break, but we'll be back right after this. Just the haze.
Just the haze. You know what? We should have said something about No Mike Nate's NA cocktail, because I'm excited to try that out.
We'll get in there when we get to the Spirats.
Spirats.
Yeah. For those watching our live stream, we wanted to find some NA wine, but we didn't.
No,
we couldn't find any. But if you tried any, let us know what you think. And if you have a brand that you recommend. I'm not a big wine drinker, Brian, but I'm tri-curious.
Tri-curious.
Yeah.
He's not a big wine drinker, but he is a big whiner.
Yes.
No. I've heard not complimentary things about NA wines, but I've heard the same about spirits. And as we've discussed, we found one that's not bad.
We found one. Yeah. So we're good with it. And we'll talk about this more in the show, but Nate does have a non-alcoholic Manhattan or old-fashioned? Old-fashioned that we're going to try a little bit later.
Any quirks to it? Or is it just a straight-up old-fashioned?
I used a cherry orange cello as a syrup instead of simple syrup, so you're going to get a little cherry orange flavor to it.
Cherry orange cello?
Yeah, so like a limoncello or a lime cello.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cherry orangello.
I'm not familiar with the cello. I mean, limoncello, I know.
Yeah. Limoncello. We got to do this. Nate stepped away. I'm having to work.
I believe in you. I drank
Guinness NA. Yes, I did try it. You brought some in once before.
I have. Yeah, I've had it a number of times.
Yeah. You know what, Merlinus? There's a few here that, in all honesty, the macro brands, their NA versions of their beers are pretty close to their beers.
Heineken's almost dead on.
Heineken 0, they're 0.0, isn't it?
0.0. One of them 0.0. I think Guinness is just 0.
Yeah,
and
which technically is 0.5 sometimes, but I think Heineken's is 0.0.
Contains less than 0.5.
Okay. Yeah, so Guinness, I think Heineken's is alcohol free. This is non-alcoholic. And the distinction being under 0.5%.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we're just opening this now.
Let's do it. Does it? So it does have the widget. You get your
it does do the foaming.
Get your cascade and your nitroness there.
You do indeed. Yep. There's a.
So Brian,
it's cascading-ish. It's not the right glass for it, probably.
I'm not totally in love with the Just the Haze. How is this compared to when it was fresh?
It's not as good.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to save this for on air.
Yeah.
But I think that's something we might want to mention is, I guess I'm going to share it both here and on the show, but
it's one of the dangers.
NA beer, keep it in your fridge. Very much so. It goes bad faster, and it's worse.
When you get to the NA spirits, they have a shelf life.
Okay, yeah.
So
see,
unlike your fully alcoholic
actual spirits,
forever,
yeah.
Non-alcoholic spirits actually do have a shelf life.
Okay, there you go.
I do enjoy this. See this. So the non-alcoholic Guinness does seem a little bit more perhaps chocolatey coffee-ish. Little like more. I think it's more chocolatey.
I have a sip of yours. I think you got more nitro than I did. I want to see. I want to see if I've got. I don't know. I don't know if you.
Are you getting something unusual? Because it comes off.
No, the flavors is. I want to see about the mouthfeel.
Oh,
and I do think it. I do think it lacks a bit of what a true Guinness does.
Yeah.
But there's still some creaminess there. You know what, Nate? Let's get back at it. Dynamite.
Indeed.
Yeah, good pint of Guinness, man. I can't argue with that.
I like Guinness. The NA is great.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Remember, all episodes are available on demand. So if you missed the broadcast, get the podcast. Beer Guys Radio is available on the Podcast Park and all popular and unpopular podcasting apps. Now let's get back to the Dry January show.
The Dry January show, Brian. We're in our second NA beer now. We opened up a Guinness Zero.
We did.
So, Brian, I want to say something here, a blanket statement about non-alcoholic beers that I think if you're going to explore NA beers, you should know this. Keep them in the fridge. Drink fresh. That's true for alcoholic beers.
Yeah.
But NA beers, based on my experience, and Brian, correct me, I think you feel the same as I do, they turn quickly and they're a lot worse than an alcoholic version when they do go off, when they do age out.
So the potential
keep them cold.
The potential is definitely there for them to go much worse because you do not have the protective factor of the alcohol to help preserve it. So there is the possibility of things that are actually really bad for you. A lot of non-alcoholic makers do some form of, I think, pasteurization or something like that to prevent there being anything that can go really sideways in it. But yeah, they can get really bad. I've opened up some that's like, that smells really off, and you just dump it. Don't even try it. If an NA beer, if it smells really off, just dump it.
And some of them they'll really smell off.
Yeah.
Like an old beer will just smell old. You'll have some stale
cardboard.
With some of the NA ones, it's very obvious that you should probably not consume it.
And it's not 100% consistent. Like the big players are definitely doing things to safeguard. Some of the other players play a little faster and looser with it, but it's still kind of early days in non-alcoholic beer, at least in the US. The US.
On the craft side, it is. They've been doing it for a while. I think the Germans have been at this for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So, but we just poured, and are drinking the Guinness Zero. It did have the cascade. It's got the widget. You got the hiss when you opened it up there. It poured with the creamy head. It has the creamy head. Brian, this is tasty. You have the roast, you have the coffee, you have the dark chocolate. The one thing that I would say this differs from a regular Guinness, I don't think the mouthfeel is quite there. That silkiness that you get in a true.
Now, I did notice your pour seemed a little less. Well, no, you've got some good head on there. So you're drinking side by side, probably. I think that the slight bit lighterness of this kind of magnifies this kind of a chocolatiness to this that I think is more pronounced in this than it is in regular Guinness. I like this. I like this a lot. I'm not going to say I like it as much as regular Guinness, but really close. So
it's close.
It's really, really close. And I could drink this and probably not even think anything about it at a party or whatever. Easy.
We're not going to try and tell you that you're going to find an NA beer that you're like, this is the best beer I've had. NA beers do have a certain taste characteristic to them.
Sure.
But if you're trying to go dry, or you're in a place you can't have alcohol, there are some that are definitely good enough to take the place of your IPA, of your Golden Ale, what have you there.
And I'll say that the first two that we've had, the Sam Adams we had, it might be a little older. You know, I'd had that around for a while, so it fell off a bit. But these two so far, I think that I would go out and drink those with people that were drinking regular beers, not feel bad about it. I'm like, I wouldn't feel like I'm out of place. I wouldn't feel like I was really getting a subpar beverage. Like, yeah, are they the same as an alcoholic beverage? No, but for what they are,
I'm having a beer with the squad and I feel fine.
And
some wings and an NA beer on a Sunday, you're good to go, right?
Yeah, I do enjoy these, and that's part of the reason I do enjoy Sundays drinking non-alcoholic beers. Yeah,
and you know, we've talked to some NA brewers that have said when we asked, I think the way I worded it one time is that your goal to get to where you can put these in a lineup with regular beers and people can't pick them out. And the response was basically their opinion was that's where they are now. Like, yes, this is just as good side by side with other beers. We have blind tasted a few times, Brian, and without fail, we've been able to pick the NA beer out. So,
every time.
So just know that, folks. Don't go out there expecting you're going to get something that's going to replace a 5-cap untapped hazy IPA. But if you want something non-alcoholic that's going to be enjoyable, there's plenty to get now.
Yeah, it's got to get you through the time that that you need it to. Like dry January, I would be drinking a lot of Guinness Zero.
And you know what? There's people, Brian, that have gone just dry altogether, but still enjoy the taste of beer. If you totally replace it as a permanent option, you're not going to feel like you're missing out on having a beer.
I think that once you acclimate to the general flavor of it, there's a difference, like you said, in body.
A little bit of difference.
I don't think you'll notice it. I think it'll just be a beer for you. So
yeah, but dry January, y'all, we've talked about a lot here just to make sure that we are clear on what it is. It's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. We go through the excess of the holidays. We're going to parties and we're having drinks. There's more drinking through the holidays for most people than there is the rest of the year. And well, along with those resolutions, man, a lot of people's resolution is to get in better shape. So it's basically you avoid alcohol for the month of January. And that's in essence of it. So now to clarify, we say no alcohol. A lot of beers that are NA beers can have less than 5%. But I think I saw something
less than 0.5%. You mean?
Or excuse me, less than 0.5%.
Yes.
But I believe some fruit juices actually have alcohol close to that level. You know, that just from the natural occurring sugars and yeast in that and fruit, you can have
something happen
at that level. A little bit of alcohol there. There's also stay clean, no consumption. A lot of people do couple it with other changes, you know, maybe avoiding what they eat and just have a nice clean January, Brian. So that's the purpose of dry January. It's something to kind of get in there and for your resolution. Clean up a little bit.
In addition to like getting healthy, it makes it easier to do exercise and things like that and lose weight. A lot of people push it as a way of reflecting on, like you were saying at the end of the year, you're looking back on the year and seeing how you did. It's a way of looking at your consumption and reevaluating it without consuming it. So you take a step without it and reevaluate how you're going to, your handle it going forward. So,
right.
Yeah.
And, one of our favorite non-alcoholic beer makers, we connected with them several years ago, really when they were just getting started out and kind of kicked it off together. And we've got to know them better. Bill Schufelt with Athletic Brewing. They've done it tremendously well. They're getting investments from, I think, Keurig Dr. Pepper, and they've just raised tons of money, but this year they're putting a big stake into, I think it's called Give Dry a Try.
Yes.
Is their campaign, but they're investing over 7 figures in the campaign, even going as far as, I know the NFL playoffs will have ads from them. And I believe it is one of the college bowl games.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. I think it's the Cotton Bowl, the NFL playoffs and the Cotton Bowl. So yeah, 7 figures. Non-alcoholic beer sales were up 14.5% as of November of last year for these guys. So they are rocking and rolling. So
have you seen any of their TV commercials?
I haven't yet. No,
I see him. So I watch a lot of, I'm a streamer, cord cutter, whatever you want to call it at home. And I watch TV on this app called Pluto. And it's just free streaming TV, but they run a lot of their ads on there. They've got one with a surfer, he's out there. We're just athletics getting the word out, man. They're preaching the gospel of NA beer for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't seen them, not because, well, you know what? I just don't watch a lot of TV. I'm a cord cutter that cut it so well that he forgot about it. So
I play mine for background noise.
Yeah.
A lot, so,
but I understand streaming services, and I think they're going to be doing other things like, part of this campaign is going to be putting it on less typical areas like blogs and various other things, other basically digital avenues. So
that's it.
You're likely to see it. There. You're likely to see it coming up for sure.
So Brian, outside of that, what are some of your other favorite that we've got just a little bit left in this segment? What are some of your other favorite NA beers?
I've been through a bunch of them doing the NA Sundays that I do. Heineken 0.0. If you are a fan of Heineken, like you said, the big boys, they're doing it right. Heineken 0.0, completely alcohol free, as I recall, hence the 0.0. And man, it's really, really hard to tell that apart from just regular Heineken. But you got to like Heineken.
You got to like Heineken. Yeah, sure.
The Guinness Zero, obviously, I'm a fan of that. Athletics Run Wild IPA was one of my original favorite NA beers. The Just the Haze we just had. Bravus Peanut Butter Dark is one we are planning to drink here in a little bit. That's been one that when I first had that, I'm like, if I had this blind, I'm not sure I'd be able to tell that this was a non-alcoholic beer.
Right.
And I've been drinking a fair amount of the Bitburger Drive. They're non-alcoholic. It's a solid NA Pilsner. It's again, you can tell it's not a proper beer, but
not quite there.
Yeah.
Brian, I just thought of something that we'll talk about on the next segment. We got a surprise NA beer showing up here. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Don't we have that Klosterhaller Christmas out?
I was just about to ask. Okay. I think we had a Christmas, a non-alcoholic. What was it? Klosterhaller
or something?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. I don't know that brand as well, but I recognize it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got that. I was gonna try to sneak that into the Christmas beer show, which.
Yeah, I don't think that. You know what? I don't think it would have been a kind move to that beer.
Probably not, because those are. Yeah.
You know what? Let's go for it. So this is a holiday brew, is what they call it. Santa Klosterhaller.
I've read some.
I'm almost positive I'm not saying.
I'm not going to spoil it. I've read some comments about it, and I'm curious about.
Water, sir. I wonder if that's where you're headed there. Thank you. What's that, Brian? You said you read some comments, but
I read some comments about it, but I don't know if they were based on what it tastes like or what it actually was.
Okay.
So we'll wait and see what it tastes like and see if what I recall.
Well, I know you're not sharing the comments, but just from your tone, I can.
Well, I don't know if it's not quite what I would have expected, but I'm not sure it would necessarily be a bad thing. So we'll see.
Right. All right, then we'll see. There's only one way to find out.
And right? You know me, it's possible I misread it. So,
I mean, just learning to read, you do your best.
Exactly right.
All right, let's see.
At least I learned.
Santa Klosterhaller, which I'm sure I'm not saying right. Holiday brew, Brian. Give it a little pour. Open it up there some. All right, here's some Santa for you.
So I'm looking at the color, and it looks lighter than I would think maybe a Christmas beer would look like, but not necessarily.
Nice, Brian.
I'm trying to get the last of the foam off.
The last of it out of there, yeah.
Yeah, off of my
That's what I just went with another glass to avoid it.
I was gonna say this is forcing me to stay hydrated, but I just remembered these are non-alcoholic beers, so the hydration is a little less important this time around.
So the aroma is nice, but let me just take a sip. All right. Okay.
Oh, it does say on the label what I think somebody said.
Because I think I'm going to say what you were. Okay, I don't dislike this, but it wasn't what I was expecting.
Right.
Take a sip, and then I'm going to say what this is.
All right. Oh yeah, no, Mike needs some. All right.
Let's play games. Take a sip, and on 3, we'll say what this is. You ready?
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Radler.
Apple pie.
Oh, okay.
Really, Radler, you say, huh?
It does kind of taste like what I thought it was. It's a
sip again and look for apple pie. That's apple pie.
Yeah. I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
But I actually know what it is because I looked at the label.
So what's it say on the label? What does it say on the label?
It's 50%
apple juice.
It's 50%, I think, cranberry juice, actually.
Cranberry cinnamon.
Yeah, cranberry cinnamon. Yeah, it's 50% non-alcoholic and 50% cranberry cinnamon drink.
Okay.
Cheated.
Yeah. Well, I'd read somewhere before I even opened it, or after I bought this, but before I opened it, when I was doing research for the Santa show, somebody says it's not even a beer. It's like 50%. It's 50% juice. And I'm like,
yeah, I don't dislike that, but it was absolutely not what I was expecting.
And this would have been weird in the blind tasted.
Were those cranberry pork rinds? We have any more of those?
Oh no!
Wow, those would actually go really well.
Yeah.
With this.
Oh yeah. I like this.
Yeah, the salty cranberry with this.
Yeah.
I like this, and I'd consider buying this again.
It smells like a Christmas store. Like, you know, when you get all the Christmas stuff in there. Like I can hear the Christmas songs playing and the fake snow displays and all that.
The cinnamon bark stuff is in there.
Okay, this says Christmas to me though. I mean, I guess it nailed it. So
that's not bad at all. Oh, let me leave that over there for you to try. You know what? I like this one. Oh, you got some. Okay.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Absolutely not what I expected, but I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it either.
You mentioned keeping these cold, and that's my one concern about the store I get these at is they like to put the NA beers on the shelf, on a warm shelf. Mm-hmm. But I think they had more of these left, and I'm gonna have to check that out because that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. See, we'll get our cranberry gin out and have gin. Just do a whole.
Oh, do we have the cranberry gin here? We do. We still have the cranberry gin. We can make it we can make it alcoholic.
No, we're drinking NA this week, man.
I mean, we're talking about it.
I still get apple pie.
I think the cinnamon makes a.
The cinnamon's pretty pronounced, and even looking for cranberry, I'm not sure. I get apple pie.
Yeah, I mean, you say it, but I get fruitiness. That's I can see apple, I can see cranberry in it both. There's a little bit of a cranberry tart for me.
Now I want a cranberry apple pie.
Is this because you've been vaping? Were you vaping apple pie?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
all right.
I wasn't. But I bet those would pair well together.
Apple pie vape?
No, I've got strawberry fruit roll-up vape.
Oh, strawberry?
Yeah. So. See, and I do think, all right, I got to try this, y'all. Excuse me. I need something salty here because I think that's a salty bite. I'm not going to get a lot because I don't want to sit here and crunch on camera, but.
It's a Southern Recipe Small Batch.
Yeah, shout out to our friends at Southern Recipe Small Batch. We get a box a month of pork rinds. And this is a flavor we enjoy: pineapple,
ancho chili.
Chili. Yeah. My favorite are the Korean kimchi barbecue. They do also have a pickle one, and as part of their
spicy dill one.
Yeah, and as part of their holiday flavors, the cranberry jalapeno, I think.
Cinnamon.
Cranberry cinnamon.
Was cranberry cinnamon jalapeno?
Did they have a different one that was cinnamon? Like
they had two.
They had two.
I think it was cranberry jalapeno.
I think it was cranberry jalapeno.
And that was my god.
Apple cinnamon. That's what it was.
Tim is crunching. Comparing the flavors. Now he's going in for the beer. The thing about them properly chewed up and lubricated.
It's a good snack for you, man.
Good snack. Yeah.
Those work well together.
It makes sense. I mean, these seem like complementary flavors.
This would be good with a shot of brandy.
We've got some apple brandy over there if you'd like.
The worst apple brandy ever. Gosh, we've had that. That came in the first day of the studio here. Like it's been here.
Has it been there that long?
There's really not much out of it from when it first hit the liquor cabinet.
Didn't the Nappy Roots guys get into that? Didn't we talk them into drinking one of that? We talked.
I don't think we got them talked into that one.
I think we talked somebody into taking a shot of that. They're like, ooh.
Is it worse than Malort?
It's Jolly Rancher. It's like apple Jolly Rancher.
Oh, it's straight up like molten Jolly Rancher. Yeah. It's the fakest apple flavor ever.
Super fake. Yes.
It's super fake, but it'll get you drunk if you drink enough of it.
Yeah. That's what you're going for. It will do the job.
I'm just looking on the bright side or looking at the, whatever. I don't know.
Brian gets an NA beer and has a shot of Malort with it. Boilermaker.
There you go. A shot of Malort with this.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to find a spirit an NA spirit that I enjoyed and make an NA Boilermaker. I think I have a possibility. Maybe I could make it happen. All but right. I wanted an NA spirit that I liked enough to pair up with an NA beer that I liked enough and have an NA Boilermaker.
Did we open that on air or after we broke? We opened that after we broke.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. All right.
Are we skipping it?
No. I figure we can mention it quickly. I just didn't remember if I didn't think I talked about it on air there.
Oh, we can try the
peanut butter dark, PB dark.
Let's see if this has survived.
Not getting drunk, but I am getting bloated chugging these down.
Getting bloated.
Yeah. If you're a drinker who likes the extra urination and drinking lots of alcohol gives you'll still get that with non-alcoholic beers.
I was gonna say I thought this smelled off, but I think it smells like grain.
Flushes you out.
I guess you're doing a good job of hydrating if you're drinking a lot of these, right?
Yeah.
All right. I think that's
so. Not only will you not have alcohol, but if you're someone who still wants to drink,
that smells like a mash. It smells like the grain. You smell that?
Ooh, yeah. It's
has it gone off?
It's like a bowl of cereal.
Yeah. Okay. I was like
a bowl of cereal.
Making sure I'm not getting funky stuff here.
This is Cap'n Crunch, man.
Yeah.
Peanut butter and grain.
Oh, you know what? It tastes about right. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Good.
That's
because the can was super hard. I'm like, oh, I'm concerned.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, this is quality.
Yeah, if you like peanut butter stouts. So, all right, guys, let's go back into it. Patrick Doyle. So we actually just talked about that a minute ago, and we did give folks a heads up that there are some that are 0-0. And to read it for those who aren't watching the screen here, Patrick Doyle said, does anyone split hairs over some NA beers having up to 0.5% alcohol? Seems that could be problematic for some. I have definitely seen people say that any alcohol gives them issues, so that they need a true 0-0. I do remember Syria Brewing. He mentioned that he does a 0-0 because he infuses his with cannabis and he doesn't want to have any issue that his process
legalities
creates a non-alcoholic beer. He's not de-alcoholizing. It creates a non-alcoholic beer. So yes, people do split hairs over it. We commented that, hey, this is a case with some, if you are someone who has an issue with any alcohol, even beers marked NA can have up to 0.5%.
In the US, you need to go alcohol free. The ones that are alcohol free are actually 0-0.
Yeah.
NA is up to 0.5%.
And that's another thing similar, like the omission beers. Yeah. They're technically gluten reduced.
Yes.
You know, they use it's called Brewers Clarix. Clarity Firm is a brand name that homebrewers use that removes the gluten or removes most of it. But I believe if you're celiac, that some people can be serious enough to, even with those reduced levels where they are, where most people aren't,
still could be a problem,
that it can still be a problem. So, and the same with this, you know? Yeah, Michael, exactly. It can be up to 0.7 for orange juice. So Michael Roethlisberger said plain old orange juice can have up to 0.73%. Michael, good to see you, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a while, but yeah, so get your juice off the shelf and you'll have more alcohol than some of these NA beers.
Exactly. You won't have nearly the same amount of bloating that I'm having from drinking these. Exactly the same way with any alcoholic beer.
You know, Patrick, to your question, I imagine if you're someone that knows that 0.5% is going to bug you, you're going to be checking for that you probably know. If you're someone who orange juice would be an issue for you, you probably will. And I know at least right now that by the government, they can say, you know, what's it say on the Bravas can? Do we have an athletic here? Do we not have an athletic in the mix up tonight?
I think we might. We've got some in the fridge. I don't know if we officially have any in the show, which is kind of funny that we
kind of odd. Yeah.
What are you looking for on this?
Oop. Here we go. Let's see how they. Athletic Brewing Run Wild IPA. It's non-alcoholic. So non-alcoholic brew is the way Athletic puts theirs. So y'all, this one here, one of our favorites, Run Wild.
We did mention it earlier.
From Athletic. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We can always get into that.
And we do, we have gotten grief in the past, and I'll be honest, not as much lately. I think MA is becoming a little more accepted, but we have received a few nasty grams from people who didn't appreciate the beer guys.
Talking about non-alcoholic beer.
Beer.
This stuff is legit beer.
We're grown men and we'll do what we want.
That's right.
So we've talked about knives and pork rinds on this show.
It's got alcohol in it. It's like it's 0.5%. So it's still beer.
All right. Brian, you ready to go back in?
Yeah, what are
Let's
we on? 3?
Yep.
I will be eventually. Here we go.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
What in tarnation?
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. I want to give a quick shout out to one of our great radio affiliates, KQAM, the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM in Wichita, Kansas. Catch Beer Guys Radio on the Big Talker every Saturday at 9 p.m. Now let's get back to the Dry January show.
Brian, so we took a break, and something I'm going to clarify. We mentioned this earlier, but one of our listeners, Patrick, that was chatting with us in between episodes here, mentioned about splitting hairs over NA versus non-alcoholic versus totally alcohol-free, and those alcohol levels up to 0.5%. If you're someone who has an issue with any alcohol, then even non-alcoholic beer is going to have up to 0.5%, as we mentioned before. But fruit juice can have alcohol, and that's our friend Michael mentioned that orange juice can have up to like 0.73%. So,
which is crazy.
So that less than 0.5% is really nothing to be concerned about. And if you're someone who should be concerned about it, you're probably watching out for that kind of thing.
And you need to look for alcohol-free products. Alcohol-free does mean legally a different thing in the U.S.
Yeah, and there are some that are
non-alcoholic.
Totally non-alcoholic. Yep. Syria Brewing.
That is Heineken, I believe, is also 0.0.
Totally non-alcoholic. So, but while we were on break, we drank one that we forgot we had. We mentioned it. This is one we picked up with our Christmas beers. We did the tasting there, and we didn't want to throw it in the mix with the tasting because we thought it would be easy to pick out. We didn't want to unfairly put it up against, these world-class Belgian beers. But this is Santa Claus Haller.
Yes.
Close enough.
Yeah, sounds right.
Holiday brew. And when I opened it, I expected like most of our like winter ales or something like that. But that's not what this is, Brian.
No, not at all.
So this is essentially a Radler with like a cinnamon cranberry mix and then the NA beer, like a blend of that.
It's 50-50.
Yeah.
Yep.
When I sipped this, I immediately thought apple pie. Even after I was told it's cranberry, it still really reminded me of apple pie, or like walking into a Christmas store that's got the candles and all the stuff around there. I didn't hate this, but it's not a beer. It's candy. It's
you said it's basically a Radler. I said NA Radler, but it's good.
Right.
And I mean, I was thinking about it. I'm like,
this would glue beer very well.
It would.
So we drank it all. We had our beer caramelizer. That would have been a nice one too.
That's candy in a very similar way to me that Shiner Cheer is also very candy-ish. If you know what I'm saying. So it's not the same thing. Obviously, it's very different flavors, but similarities. Like if you're a fan of Shiner Cheer, you might really enjoy that.
You may enjoy that.
And it doesn't feel like a big step down or step to the side. It's just like, oh, this is in the same kind of vein. So I enjoyed it. It's nice. I would drink it again, and I may drink it again.
To one that we've had several times before that we always enjoy. And I think you mentioned earlier, this is the one that's come the closest to where you may not be able to pick it out of a lineup of other similar low alcohol beers.
Well, yeah, when we first had this and this got poured and I drank it, I'm like, this tastes just like a beer to me. Blind tasted, I didn't get the telltale signs immediately of non-alcoholic. I'm like, oh, this is a pastry stout. Like
Right.
maybe not a super thick one, but it's up there. It's peanut butter dark.
This is Bravas Brewing's peanut butter dark, which is a peanut butter stout, essentially.
Basically,
they just can't put it on the label. It says.
Yeah, and it's there's nothing missing here. I did notice opening it up this time that it does give me a little of that not homebrewy, but like the grain aroma, big grain aroma.
Grain and peanut butter.
Yeah,
was what I got.
But you also get that out of some beers.
Sure.
I mean, so it's not even that it itself is not necessarily a reveal. So this is one I haven't tried it, but this is one I want to pour for somebody that doesn't know what it is and ask them what they think of it. It's like, oh, I've got a beer for you. Let them see it. You let them tell me about it. It's like, what do you think the ABV is on this?
Again,
that would be fun.
If you're looking for something stouty and you want to avoid alcohol, it's there for you. It's there to help you out.
And that's a really good option.
Brian, you found the origins of Dry January, and I really thought it was something just kind of happened, but that's not the case, right?
Yeah, I also, like everybody else, just assumed that somebody said it somewhere on social media and it took off. It was actually created by an organization called Alcohol Change UK. So it's out of the UK. And the original Dry January was 2013, and it wasn't part of the organization. It was that was the original official one, but it actually started as one of their employees giving up drinking in January to make her resolutions. Like you said, she was training for I believe a half marathon in 2011. And she just continued doing it. She got a lot of attention every time she did it. People wanted to know, well, what was it like going a whole month? I mean, how'd you feel? Blah, blah, blah. Because a lot of people weren't doing that. So this organization in 2013 noticed how popular and how interesting it was. And so they said, hey, let's make this a thing. Let's make this an official deal. So they launched it in 2013. It grew in 2014 and 2015. They had local government organizations getting behind it, sponsoring it. In 2016, they created an app, and they noted that 14,000 people signed up to participate. Last year, 130,000 people signed up to their website or through their app to participate in Dry January. Other sources that I found online said as many as 35% of legally aged drinking adults participated in 2022. So
okay,
this is their 10th anniversary of Dry January. I had no idea when it started.
Anniversary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's really caught on, and it's kind of funny that it's not obvious to everybody where it came from. It just kind of took on a life of its own. They coined the idea and people just ran with it. So
how about that, man?
Makes sense.
Speaking of anniversaries, we mentioned this last week, but the first Saturday in January in 2016, what happened on that day?
First Saturday in January in 2016. I believe that's when Beer Guys Radio got started.
That was Beer Guys, the first episode of Beer Guys Radio. So this episode marks our official 7th anniversary. Happy anniversary to us. Lucky number 7, Brian.
So we're celebrating by not drinking alcohol.
We're celebrating with non-alcoholic beers. That's right.
This is really well thought through.
We're older, man. We're at least 7 years older, at least. Than we were when we started this.
Possibly older. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I feel like I could be just a bit older than that. Yeah.
But Brian, is this just all hogwash? Are there any benefits to actually doing Dry January?
Well, I did in fact look into that as well. A behavioral study that the organization, what did I say? It was alcoholchange.uk that they did showed that 6 months later, 7 out of 10 people that participated were less likely to engage in risky drinking behavior than they were before. 25% of the participants went from drinking at harmful levels to drinking at just low risk levels. So like really bad drinking to good drinking. So it seemed to help people moderate and improve their behavior based upon the research they did on people's actual behavior. So research from the Royal Free Hospital UK shows a month off is good. It gives you improvements like concentration and sleep patterns. Both of those would be improved. Blood pressure, and of course it will help out your liver. So all of these things actually are impacted by just taking a month off. So there is a reason to do it.
As discussed earlier in the show, we're older than we were when we started this show. And I've noticed that alcohol impacts me more after drinking than it did, 7, 10, especially 20 years ago.
Oh, for sure.
So it's something that I think, even reducing that, like Brian, if I decide I don't want to go dry, if I still want to have a drink every now and then, is there any option for me?
Perhaps there is, Tim. Perhaps there is. There is such a thing called damp January. It's dry January's lenient cousin. It doesn't require that you completely abstain from drinking, but you set your own boundaries and you limit alcohol in your own way. And it's an idea that's good for people who maybe can't quite cut off alcohol completely. They need to, but they would like to cut back.
Because like we're saying, cutting back, if you can't quit, cutting back is better than just keeping on binging. And I think the folks that are behind the damp January, it's not a cop out. It's any reduction is going to be good. And if you're a heavy drinker or someone who may have an addiction there, if you're an alcoholic, if you can tone it down a little bit, that's going to be better for you than keep it on binge. So do what you can. If you're able to go dry, go dry. It's going to be good for your body to take them. We're not silly. We love our alcohol, but we know what it does to the body in mass quantities. Look at Brian.
Yeah, right.
Anyhow, we need to take us a break. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show, and we will be right back. Shall we? Okay.
Yes.
We got to, I know you talked about in the intro, talking about the process of brewing. So how about we watch the clock? Do you not like it, or you don't care for it, huh? Okay.
I when I first had it, I liked it a lot.
Okay.
For some reason, this can,
No. Okay. Gotcha.
Is it, it has a bit more of a grainy aroma to it? Is that what it is? Because I noticed it seems grainer. Yes, Tim.
Let's watch it and split between the process, or try and go through the process kind of quickly and get on the spirits.
Okay. The process is,
because I think that's really the two main things we need to cover here, right?
Yeah. And the spirits, we definitely, we got a lot of material for the spirits.
We do. That's why I'm saying, let's go through the process. You don't need to dive in, but just say, hey, for those that are curious how that's made, there's a few different ways.
Easy enough. So. Yeah. It's a reasonably short bullet list.
So, and I don't think we can get into the details of it now, but at least let people know a little bit what's up.
And I think that
going down what's going down.
In
Brian.
fact, if we'd done more research or were more experts on the process, it's probably an entire show just on various ways to produce non-alcoholic beer. So no need for that. This is not a college level course. This is NA Beer 101.
Yep. Had tacos and beans for lunch, Brian.
Okay. All right.
And there's this little joint near me that makes seriously the best refried beans I've ever had.
I do like refried beans. So I would, which joint is this?
It's called Corner Street Taco Bar. It's in a gas station.
Okay.
Those are usually good though.
Yeah.
Those are usually legit.
Right now, I love gas station burritos, gas station chicken, and I think I would be down with gas station tacos.
Yeah. So I'll get a couple tacos, and I get like a side dish of the refried beans, which is more beans than anyone needs. But rather than getting like a platter thing or whatever, I'll get a couple little tacos and beans, and they season them really well, and they're pretty spicy. Like eat a few, and your tongue.
Do they season them with Gas X for you?
They might. I can tell you from that, based on personal experience, they do not.
Yeah,
they do not. But they're good beans, man. So a nice non-alcoholic Mexican lager would have went well.
Oh, I was gonna say, are the beans non-alcoholic?
I don't know. I don't know.
Not when I got done with
maybe them. Maybe that's why it's the weirdest cocktail I've ever had, but it was delicious. What's in
refried beans?
A little tequila,
some
triple sec, orange, refried beans, twist of lime. It's like, wait,
isn't that the last one? I was gonna say, isn't that a brunch drink? Staple it, drive a taco into the top of it. The not margaritas, man. I can't. Bloody Marys. That's the one that they do ridiculous things. I'm sure somebody's put refried beans in.
It's a chelada.
Oh yeah, it's like a like
half beer and half.
It'd be like a red and tan.
Man, some of the worst ideas.
Yeah, it's somebody needs to try that and tell me how it is.
The red and tan.
That actually sounds like a condition or something. I don't know.
Yeah. When you have you had anything to drink today? Had 4 red and tans.
What the hell's a red and tan?
It's half tequila, half refried beans.
Oh yeah, it's
you float the beans.
I want to see if that. I would like to see the beans float. I don't think that. Well, I don't know. So cash? Maybe.
No, I think they're definitely going to be more dense. I guess you could whip them until it's lighter.
Whipped beans.
Did you say whipped cream?
No.
All
right.
This is our NA cock. I'm gonna do it live. Don't drink it.
All right, fine.
All right,
we'll do it live. Are we just gonna start off with the
no, we're gonna come in and we'll all intro you for talking about the brewing process and talk about that. We're gonna talk about spirits in this segment.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. To be able to.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Get them all coming.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/beerguys. Patrons get cool perks like Beer Guys swag and commercial-free episodes. Now let's get back to the Dry January show.
Dry January, Brian. We're going to talk in this segment. You had mentioned earlier, we're going to tell people a little bit about how some of the processes of NA brewing.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about those spirits we're talking about. And we're going to have cocktails. Brian, we've actually got a cocktail.
We do. Yes.
Right here, right now. I'm going to slide the mic over to No Mic Nate and break tradition and give him the mic, and he's going to tell us about this cocktail.
All right, so this is my best attempt at a non-alcoholic old-fashioned. What we've noticed is that the non-alcoholic spirits actually don't play well by themselves. They tend to do really well in a cocktail. And so this is Drink Monday's whiskey alternative with bitters, which I know bitters are alcoholic, but you're just doing dashes. And then a cherry orange cello, think like a limoncello, but with citrus orange. And enjoy.
Nate, thank you. All right, let's check this out. Have you sipped it yet,
No,
Brian?
I haven't touched it.
Let's do it. Let's check this thing out.
Let's see.
This is a non-alcoholic old-fashioned. I do notice looking at it's a little murkier. Would be.
Yeah, it's got the murk. It's a hazy old-fashioned.
It's hazy old-fashioned.
Now, is it because the glass is chilled? No, there's a little murk to it. I don't hate it. It's all right.
Would this substitute as an old fashioned for you?
I don't. Close. No, probably not.
But if you were just out and you're like, hey, it's a cocktail party, I want a cocktail, would this do it for you?
Yeah. If somebody had it and I was standing around talking with people, it's in the realm. It tastes in the realm of cocktails, and I would enjoy it. It'd be something to sip on, and it's reasonably good in terms of flavor. So
as Nate mentioned, it's got a little cola taste to it. And
it does. Yeah. Cola is a good way of putting that.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
But again, if you know what, we recently got some, I think there were freeze dried orange slices.
Yes.
That would be nice. Drop it in there, bring it, it would look nice, bring it, little dress up to the cocktail. But Nate, thanks for hooking us up, man. I think that is the first in a cocktail I've had.
I think that's the same for me.
And I can safely say out of what I've tried, the whiskeys are the hardest ones to get to taste like what they are with the complexity and the different flavor notes.
Sure.
Gin, vodka, a little easier to throw those aromatics in there or just give you clean. Whiskey's a little tougher. And we'll talk a little bit more here about this one we really dig. But Brian, before we move into the spirits, there are several different processes to brewing non-alcoholic beers. Let us know a little bit about what's up there.
All right. So I've dug into these, and I think the one that's the most typical is called de-alcoholization. And I have been drinking NA spirits the entire night, or NA beverages anyway. It's the opposite of distilling. Basically, the finished beer is heated. You evaporate off the alcohol effectively and bring it down to also a low pressure dealcoholization version of that. It's like that, but it's done under low pressure, so you can accomplish the distillation basically at room temperature, so you don't have to heat the beverage, which may result in better flavors. There is reverse osmosis, with which you extract water and alcohol together, you distill it, and then you add the water back to the non-liquid material. Interesting. There is also my least favorite one, which is simply diluting it. So you just take you brew a beer, probably low gravity, and you dilute it until you make the 0.5% or whatever you're going for. And I suspect, because a lot of NA breweries won't tell you what their exact process is, I suspect that a lot of places do some sort of a combination, which probably is dealcoholization plus a little bit of dilution to make their marks, because I suspect that would give you the better flavor in the end say of things. But that's me speculating, because I've never made it. So
do you know, or did you find any information on the ones that say they just brew straight non-alcoholic, that they don't have to reverse osmosize or dilute or anything there?
You know what? I remember that coming up. There is a species of yeast that will do that, and I had forgotten. And I think I want to say it might even be Heineken that was using that. A species of yeast they got out of like Patagonia that produces a lot of the flavor compounds, but basically produces little or no alcohol. So that is another approach to brewing that I actually had forgotten about.
Yeah, and we should say here, where alcohol brewing, beer brewing is pretty much open source. Every brewery may have their little tweaks that, oh, well, I dropped the hops at exactly this many degrees, or it's exactly this time, or whatever. Non-alcoholic brewers are super tight-lipped on their actual processes. You know, there are different ones, and especially since it's young here, there's proprietary processes within each of these that they've developed, and they don't want to give up their secret, because right now, to be quite honest, the process that you use probably has a lot to do with the end result of the product you get. And if you're making the best out there, you don't want someone else to be able to do that. It's
a difficult target to hit, reproducing just beer with alcohol in it. And it's not well known how to do that yet. Yeah. So it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of money to be made in nailing it.
And I know from cooking or anything else that just because you have a recipe in a stove does not mean you're going to make the same recipe that someone else did. So
correct. Even using their instructions.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's always those little differences there, but so there's a lot of good non-alcoholic beers. A few we've mentioned that we enjoy. Athletic for me, portfolio wide, they're the best. And there's certain beers that I've had from other breweries, I'm like, oh, I really like that. That's really good. But Athletic pretty much across the board, they're pretty tasty there. Syria, I enjoyed what they sent to us. Bravas, really dig their peanut butter dark. A couple of the other ones I enjoyed as well. Y'all, you know what? We don't usually speak poorly of breweries, but there is one that honestly I disliked enough that I want to share to avoid. And I'm not looking to really trash anybody, but Hairless Dog, I did not care for anything in their lineup. And they were not just awful, they were quite unenjoyable, Brian. Yeah. So if you're out there, I don't want someone to get that as their first taste of NA beer and think that, but that's one. So there you go. I think that may be a first of us saying directly.
Wow, we said something bad about a brewery. I didn't know you were going to go there.
But a lot of craft breweries get in there. Untitled Art, has one, and we talked about Sam Adams.
Partake is good. We've talked to Partake.
Partake was good.
Solid. Right Side, I think, is the one that's out of our area.
That's a Georgia one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Who are the Scottish guys? Brewdog.
Oh,
Brewdog
yeah,
has
Brewdog
an
does
beer.
One. Yeah.
So a lot of the bigger brewers out there, the bigger craft,
the German ones. We've kind of overlooked the German ones. They've been doing it for a long time, and a lot of the German breweries have an A version of their beers. Those are usually worth tasting.
Yes, Brian, we need to move on to talk about the spirits. We don't want to miss out on this. We don't have as much to share on the spirits, but there have Monday. What's the full name of this one, Nate? Drink Monday. And Nate, you said personally, I think you've explored these more than us. This is your favorite brand that you found. So Drink Monday out there. We've tried 2 or 3, Brian, where we've tried a gin substitute, a tequila substitute, a couple of whiskey substitutes. We have yet to find one that's good by itself.
For ritual, and they did not cut the mustard.
They did not. They did not. These Drink Mondays are a little better. Even their whiskey attempt straight is, look, it's not whiskey. And it's not going to fool anybody that's whiskey.
It's definitely not going to fool anybody.
If you're a whiskey drinker, unlike the beer, you would just get angry if this was if you were trying to straight like drink this over the rocks. It's not going to substitute 100% for straight whiskey.
You need like a club soda or something to give a little
Yeah.
extra character. Maybe
Yeah.
throw a dash of bitters or something. I don't know what
if you like
need,
a little
something.
whiskey and Coke,
Yeah.
you could probably get it mixed to where it would
You might,
approximate
with a
that
Coke.
for you.
Yeah,
You know,
it might be.
you had that. So, but Brian, one we found that we really liked, that we
I'm
could
excited
drink it
about this
actually
one.
straight. And we tried this with a little tonic that's really good, but it's Lyres, I think, LYRE''S. And they have one here. It's just called an Italian Spritz.
Yeah.
And it's a light fruity. It's reddish orange, pink.
It's basically an
hibiscusy looking.
It's like an Aperol replacement or an alternative.
Hibiscus in it with the color.
I wouldn't be surprised with that color. Yeah.
But this and a tonic, if you're wanting a cocktail that approximates gin and tonic, Aperol Spritz, something along those lines, you're going to be happy.
I am going to buy a bottle of that for myself to drink when I want to continue drinking. Then they have a setup I've seen on their website. They've got a lot of different flavors. They do have a setup to make Negronis.
Your Negronis.
I am going to make some of those because I love drinking them. But as a guy who's getting older, I will feel that the next day.
Was 2022 the year of the Negroni, or is that 2023?
2022 for me was the year of Negroni.
Okay.
Yeah. Or the year of Amaro.
Amaro.
But Negroni kind of sparked my interest in that.
Yeah.
So
but if I was out Brian, in all honesty, if I was out and this is the only option they had, they're like, yeah, you know what? We've got this Italian Spritz. If I went to an event that was hey, this is an alcohol-free event, but we've got some nice NA cocktails, I'd be totally happy.
If I see that on the shelf someplace, especially if it's Sunday when I'm not drinking,
yeah,
I'm going to order one. I'm going to order a Spritz with that or something with that.
Yeah.
I might even order it by itself. It was actually pretty good by itself.
Pretty good. Yeah, but that's that's our heads up in our warning on non-alcoholic spirits. Make cocktails, mix them. They're mixers. They're not meant to be drank straight. You probably will not care for it if you drink it straight, but maybe you'll get you a cocktail you enjoy. And Brian, that wraps it up for this episode of the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. For more craft beer info, follow us online. We are Beer Guys Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Have a great week, and don't forget to drink local. Cheers. Cheers.
If I get any of that
beers.
and that tonic left, because I kind of
another can of tonic.
I want to throw a tonic in this and this cocktail.
Open the second.
Give it a little extra oomph of some kind.
Little spramp. Y'all, thank you for joining us here. We appreciate it. Exploring NA beverages here. Again, if you got a favorite, let us know. We'd love to try some new stuff. If you are someone that dabbles in NA spirits, then let us know if you got a cocktail. Okay, Michael Roethlisberger, Stella Liberty is the best I've had. It's actually okay. Not sure which process they use though. Michael, do you know if is that in the U.S.? I'm assuming it is, but I want to clarify. And I think we've got some interesting news here from a Georgia Blackbird Farms Brewery is doing NA Thursdays in January. You know,
nice.
We just had someone asking on Reddit ATL Beer if any local breweries did NA, and I said no, Brian. I said no, but
technically we kind of do. Right Side is made by a Georgia, but I don't think they do serve it in their tap room, do they?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yeah,
so, but cool. Publix and Total Wine. All right,
I'll have to check that out. Yeah,
we will keep an eye out for that. Awesome.
Good job, Blackbird Farms.
Yes, that's it. We're done, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Hope y'all have a good week, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.